Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. I hope this has started. The Google Plus Hangouts things, whatever you call it, is some weirdness tonight. So anyway, I think it's a compact and bijou occasion at the moment. So drawing close, dear viewer, and we'll sit by the fireside. Actually, we won't sit by the fireside here. It's jolly hot at the moment. But you can see Gene is plainly recovering from his rescue efforts last week and his water efforts, and Bruce is there. And he is, in fact, the official drone police. But I don't think we can say drone police, can we, Bruce? That's already, that word has caused some trouble on your channel.
Police? I don't think so, has it? No, you can say drone. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody put UAV, and that's a term I don't. Nobody uses. Yeah. Haven't used for ages.
I can't believe it. The nomenclature for unmanned aerial vehicles, remotely piloted aircraft systems, UAV, UAS, drone. What are we flying? I mean, none of the regulators actually seem to know. They've all got a different name for it. How can you regulate something when you can't even agree on what it's called?
I think we're, and I think, Gene, I don't know if you agree with me. Good afternoon or good evening to you there, Igor. How are you doing? It was just before we, that's Igor from Emlid. We'll talk to you in a second, but I think we're talking RPA now, aren't we, Gene? I think that's the official, isn't it?
Yeah, RPA and RPAS is starting to gain some traction yet once again. Of course, you know, it was RPA once, and then that went away, went out of favor. And then we went to UAV, and then we went to UAS, and now we're back to RPA again, which, well, I don't know what I'm flying either, you know, so...
Yeah, I think
will RPA still be valid when everything's autonomous because you're not piloting a damn thing?
Well, no, exactly. And the R was put in at the insistence of the US Air Force to say that their chaps were in the loop, and you know, they're not completely autonomous, so don't worry about that. Yeah, yes. Perhaps we could have a lottery or something for what we think the completely autonomous versions will be. And it also desexualizes it, the remote part, rather than the unmanned part. So it's RPA for the when hashtag. That's what the young people say, isn't it? Hashtag everything. Hashtag whatever. No, it's not what the young people say. Oh, and you're a young people. You're young people. You should know that. You are the duty young person on this call, and also you're the duty person without a beard. Now, you've bought out.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's when you get older. You've brought out a bit of kit that looks quite amazing today. I am going to have to slide across. It's the Edge. That's, I think, is what you're calling it, is it? Maybe you can run us through it. What is it? What does it do?
So basically, we have designed the ultimate autopilot, which includes video streaming right inside. So it's actually. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me close the window. I'm getting some noise.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We designed this autopilot, which is really tiny. It runs autopilot. It has all the nice features like dual heated IMUs, but at the same time, it has HDMI input. So you can actually plug in virtually any camera which has HDMI output, and then this video stream will be compressed and pushed over USB to either a Wi-Fi link, which we provide in the kit. It's a high-power Wi-Fi, and or in the future over LTE network. So and because we run a full Linux operating system on board, which was our approach from the very beginning, from the Nevio, we have lots of possibilities and lots of supported hardware in terms of Wi-Fi's and LTE dongles. Yeah, I would say that this is like, it's not like real evolution from Navia. It's a really big step from there, but it's still the same idea that we started with and what we actually wanted to build. But it was just, Navia was just a step in that direction, and it got its users, but we understand that it wasn't that easy to use for many. It still required some Linux knowledge, and So it's really mostly universities and hackers now. So it didn't really appeal to most of the drone builders, I would say. And now we're rolling out something that will have really out-of-the-box video experience, and it will have all configuration through the GCS, flashing, and everything will be, you know, I wouldn't say effortless, right? It's still serious things we're dealing with, but simple and won't require Linux knowledge. That's the thing.
And have you got one? Have you got one handy that you can show and tell, or is there one only at the office?
Sorry, it was a short notice. I was already home when I got the email, so they are all at the office. But we can.
Okay,
you know,
now
That means you just have to send us all one so we can look at it.
exactly, yeah. I'll tell you what, they can send them to me as well, Gene, and I'll make sure you get yours eventually. Don't worry. I'm sure I will, Gene. I will. Of course I will, Gene. The so tell me again. So what resolution is the video link? Was it HD?
We can stream full HD video, so 1080p, and then it will depend. You can lower the resolution to get longer range and to get lower latency. So it's all a balance, but you will have control over it. So we're gonna have controls in the GCS where you can actually select what you want better quality, or you want less of delay. And but we have tested with full HD. So
and of course that means that this will slot straight into the autopilot ecosystem. So you'll be able to use the mission planner, Q ground control, all the various ground control stations that are out there. I assume everything is normal.
Yes, and this is all a part of this
So
experience.
what sort of range are you getting at, say, 720p over Wi-Fi? What sort of range are you getting?
So we have flown around 2 kilometers. So it will then depend. We didn't really do all the, like a spreadsheet with different bit rates and ranges. We will definitely do that closer to the actual shipping. But we were mostly during this testing phase, we were mostly interested in, can we actually hit that? And then we will try to, what we can optimize to go further. For example, if you have, it wasn't done with directional antennas. We can do directional antennas, and then you can go further. And I think the video over Wi-Fi has been really proven by Solo, and the Solo link, it's pure Wi-Fi. And I mean, I have a Solo. It works quite good. And there were even instructions on how to upgrade to go, and we did the upgrade on our Solos, and we went over 3 kilometers. So the Wi-Fi can do that. I think it has been in mass production. So it's mostly a question of how you really integrate it well, and how you, because, for example, power supply, right? If you have a Raspberry Pi on board, it won't provide enough power for high power Wi-Fi. So you have to solder something, and it gets all messy with the wiring. And we have all the right power circuitry to both protect the autopilot from someone consuming too much, but we also provide enough power for the transmitters. And this lets us go further, because the Wi-Fi is not trying to bring the power down because it's lacking power. And yes, so that's that's actually the thing. So
can we say then that you've built with the autopilot and the video feed all nicely plumbed together, so that gets rid of a whole host of wiring and again a whole lots of power concerns. So we'll park the autopilot bit. That's the bit that normally happens. We all know the autopilot, but the video bit, we've got a video camera. We feed some power into it and just run the cable into the device, and that's it. We're done. Job done. And put it in a gimbal, say in a multi-rotor, and we've pretty much got the system you might have in one of those white plastic drones that everyone seems to like. Yeah,
but then it's fully customizable. You have full access, and it's running autopilot, which is really important. And since we're using a real network connection, it's not Wi-Fi broadcast or anything, which is really limited. It's a full network connection. So you have video, you have telemetry, and all the controls you want. And then we have really initially we have provided full support for all the features in Q-ground control, mainly because it's really cross-platform. So it was very efficient for us to just add it in one place and get it on all platforms. And then from the time you have set up your device, you have flashed the firmware, chosen the vehicle, you can actually then use the mission planner as well. So it's just basically it's a Mavlink stream and video stream over network. So it's really extendable, and we're using standards. So it's all, you can use standard bits, move them around, and build it just the way you need it. And it's really good advantage, I think.
And you can hang other sensors off this, can you?
Definitely. And in terms of sensors, we have decided that we'll focus on promoting UFCAN, which is really great. And I think everyone should move in that direction. And my opinion is that using I2C buses over long wires, it's just, it was an optimal way to do it. It was cost-effective way to do it back in the days. But now we really need to step up and use the correct technology for the purpose. So when you have multiple low bandwidth sensors all around, you need to use CAN bus. The industry has already decided it, and we have now the beautifully designed UAV CAN, which has support in autopilot and everything. And with Edge, you will receive a GNSS module, which is actually connected with only 4 wires. So 2 for power and 2 for CAN bus. And then you can add as many as you like. You can add additional, we will launch additional sensors, and they will all be connected with standard wires, standard connectors. So you don't really need to have like 10 or 20 types of cables for different sensors and then think, does it fit? It's just a network. So you connect as many as you like. And we have, in the GNSS unit, we have dual compasses. We have an additional barrel, which is critical for many drones, where you have this air bubble inside the shell, which tricks with your pressure. So you can lift it up above the drone, and you have an extra barrel which you can actually use. And all this data is accumulated on a microcontroller, which then pushes it to the UAV CAN. And the flight controller can use it, and potentially in the future, any other consumer of this data can read it.
No, it's all right. I suppose the $64,000 question is: does it cost $64,000? How much is it going to cost?
We have it right now on pre-orders for $699, and for this money, you will get a flight controller. You will get 2 high-power Wi-Fi's, which are the link, and everything is pre-set up for them. And you will get this really nice UAV CAN GNSS, and obviously cables and everything, all accessories. And also a power module, which is based on a Hall sensor, so you can measure up to 200 amps if you solder the right connectors, and also provide the power for all the system. And if you actually calculate how much it is, I mean, if you try to assemble something from, I don't know, just from components, even DIY style, it's basically the same or even more. And we are offering a really premium build with injection molded plastics, with CNC aluminum. I think anyone who has held our products starting from Nebula Plus, Nebula 2, Reach RS, know the quality of the builds that we give, the PCB quality, and it's all strictly controlled. We do 100% testing at the factory. So it's really a bargain. I mean, anything from DJI with the same capability, not integrated into a ready-made product, will be 2 times more.
They don't have an equivalent product, really, do they, other than a complete unit?
So we are considering, what if you get it like NASA M3 plus Lightbridge?
Right. Oh yes. Yeah. But it's still not integrated, is it? It doesn't come together.
Yeah, and you have more wiring.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every time you take wires out of the equation, it's a good thing in our world. Yeah. So this is sort of come out of the blue. I have seen the Emerald Reach. A friend of mine down the road, Luke here, he uses one, and I've seen it, and it is very well made bit of kit. That sounds like I'm advertising now. I'm sorry. Anyway, no, it's a good bit of kit. And I think you must be doing quite well with those. They're catching on a little bit, aren't they?
Oh yeah, and a shameless plug. We are exhibiting at Intergeo in the end of the month in Berlin, and everyone can come and see the products in flash, including the new Edge and all our Reaches and Reacheresses. We have a booth, so welcome, and you can see how we are actually doing there. Yes, and the Reaches are really popular. We still haven't got any real competition, so.
But then that must be coming. You must be seeing it coming. There must be people lining up to copy you, basically.
Oh sure.
Yeah. But you know, just if you remember how many companies tried to build something like Nevio 2, and they aren't around. And this is where we really shine. I think we have this long-term commitment to the product, community backing, and we really provide software updates. So it's not just one-off thing. Just consider Nevio 2 was launched 2 years ago, and we still provide updates on the software for basically a hacker product. So and the Reach, the way we shipped it, and the way it's now, it's completely different value because of all the software features that we launch. Like we have updates almost every 2 weeks, and we have Android app launched, and yeah, so there is lots of work going on improving the products that we already shipped, and this is going to happen to Edge as well.
So you're happy. So what's your take on the market then? Are you a happy bunny? Do you think the drone world is marvelous and expanding at the rate you're expecting, or expanding quick enough to keep up? What's your, you see, you're the young enthusiastic Blake here rather than the old codger like Gene. So what's your take on the industry?
Well, I've been long enough here. I mean, in the industry, so I hope I can be considered old in some way. I think that, well, you know, we're not wearing any pink glasses, and that, you know, that's something that we're gonna, you know, sell 1 million units over time. It's obviously all DJI now.
Yeah.
We are not expecting to sell to anyone who wants to build like a drone to film himself. This opportunity is already gone. But there are lots of niches and applications that can't be covered by DJI, and we see lots of businesses actually building drones, and they're doing certain tasks better, and we want to give them a platform to do their job better for the customers. So I guess our attempt is to get to those guys, small, and we see them, you know, plenty of them among our customers. So these are small drone companies. They're actually building products to target a specific need.
Yes.
And they all need what we offer, like video streaming, for example. This is a big issue for anyone.
Well, why is it a big issue? Surely people want to. If I have a mapping camera, can I stream that pointing down and see the photos clicking away?
Oh yeah, I think it really depends on the camera and what kind of modes it supports. But if I recall correctly, if you have something like a Sony Nex camera, you can actually, in the point and shoot mode, you just can connect an HDMI output and still be able to trigger it while seeing the live stream. Obviously, having a full Linux computer gives fantastic customization capabilities. Like you can try to download the pictures and send them somewhere during the flight, we don't offer this out of the box, but I'm just, thinking about what's possible with the Linux computer and the camera.
Oh, and Tom Pittenger, we're honoured, is joining us in the comments and saying he's very excited to hear about the video solution. Tom, if you'd like to join us, I can send you the link. In fact, why don't I just send you the link in here? See if anyone else comes along. So, Tom, if you want to come and join us and talk about this, you're very welcome to. Louis might do in a minute. It's the oh no, the autopilot gang are beginning to. Oh dear. Peter Lagrange is asking about latency. What about latency for it?
We will be flying with comfortable latency. I think it's from the ice, it's comparable to what we have on the Solo, so it's something around 200 milliseconds. It's not racing great in any way, so it's a standard latency over Wi-Fi. We have some tests, like bench tests, regarding the different latencies. I don't have them right now out of my hand, but you obviously get better if you have like 60 frames per second. And at lower resolution, you can have better latency. But this is about it. And I think it's really it's good performance for monitoring needs and for general, aerial imaging. It's not for, obviously not for racing. We're not. It's not even an autopilot for racing. So.
Yeah. The guys in New Zealand might disagree with you on that. No, sorry, they're in Australia. The big Freedom class guys. They don't do racing in Australia. In New Zealand, it doesn't happen there. Talking about surveillance needs, then that will allow me. We'll talk some more to you again in a second, Igor. We'll talk to Jean and say, Jean, thanks so much. Those of you who didn't see last week, Jean joined us. I can't remember quite where you were in Texas, perhaps you'll tell us, but you joined us live and actually flew one of your missions, and that was video transmission. That was video over YouTube, started in 2005. We definitely wouldn't have been playing that game then. It was quite extraordinary. It blew my mind, Gene. So thanks very much. And well, just tell us what was happening, Gene.
Well, we were pretty fortunate. We were down on the coast in Texas, just a little south of where Harvey, or no, actually a little north of where Harvey hit. That was on the dirty side of the storm. And we were doing assessments for water treatment facilities. We were trying to get everybody drinking water back. North of where Harvey hit. That was on the dirty side of the storm. And we were doing assessments for water treatment facilities.
We got super feedback. Where's that coming from? That's fab. Let's just mute a couple of people down there. There we go. That was fantastic. That was like Back to the Future.
Well, I was listening to myself talk.
Yeah, you said I've just deja vu all over again. Yeah, I know. And your team, I think, is still down there. They're still in position and they're still doing their thing.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they are still down there. They still have the same equipment, and we were testing the capabilities of using that particular type of communications to live feed video back to where the experts are. I mean, because we're, obviously we're not experts in everywhere that we go. So, we're really good at flying things, and we can look at things on the ground, but what's on the ground and what needs to be done to it is kind of a mystery to us sometimes. So if you can get those images back to someone who isn't physically co-located with you, there's a bonus there. So we were testing the KSI video mission caster, which is essentially a bunch of circuitry that has a couple cradle point modems in it and switching ISPs and that sort of thing, and it handles a bunch of different video feeds. And we were incredibly lucky in that where we were is the cell, the LTG was fantastic, although there was no power anywhere, and there was no water and no utilities or anything else. So probably all these cell towers and everything were running on generators and everything else that they had out there in the field. But we got, I mean, as you saw last week, we got excellent video back through the LTG and to you guys and to the world for that matter, you know, coming through there. And it was pretty incredible to be there and driving down the road in our mobile command unit and being able to point the camera out and you see all the flooding. And then when we got to the area we were flying, I got to get out with the computer and you guys got to see the aircraft take off and fly.
We
How many people?
we got to see that it needed a DJI update before you could fly.
You are correct, and that was another issue. I don't even want to talk about that. But it was still pretty incredible to get down there and to be able to stream all that video back, and it proved itself pretty valuable on this go around, and it worked really, really well. And I think you're going to be seeing more of that. And I think that's going to aid autonomy, because there are going to be folks that really don't care too much about having to fly anything, but they want to get the video. So they'll fly it out there and have that stream back, and it's just like you're there. And we did some more of that yesterday, and the people that were needed to know got to look at it and were very impressed. And I think that's going to be a part of our future.
Yeah, absolutely. And funny enough, I was arguing with somebody today who said that wasn't going to be part of our future for a very, very long time. But I think it's actually within our 5 to 10 year future. I don't think it's not a long way out at all. It's going to remove so much trouble. I just need to ask in the comments, Rob, another one of the autopilot, very famous autopilot mafia man, that old Rob LaFerge. I can never say his surname. I don't know how to say his surname. Rob's asking, does your product have internal vibration isolation on the IMU?
Hi, Rob. Thank you for your question. No, there is no built-in vibration dampening on the IMU. There were some reasons behind this decision. One of them is to keep the really low profile of the autopilot, to make it slim, so that it can fit in any frame. And the other was that we really wanted we wanted people to integrate really different drones, and there is we didn't want a situation to happen when a customer calls us and says that he's hitting the natural frequency of the internal dampening system. Then we'll have to do something for him. So, and that will take a rebuild of the autopilot. So we decided to make it more universal, so that a customer can decide whether he needs vibration dampening, or he can use the mounting foam from the kit, or if he really needs it on his build, then he can use one of the off-the-shelf mounts. And we also plan to provide our own compact vibration dampening system. So I think, yeah, there are definitely advantages to the internal dampening, but there are reasons why we decided not to go for it. And the slim factor was something that many users really wanted for simplified mounting inside the drone.
Okay, grand. Right. Well, we might drop back to you yet. I notice now we have been joined by Randall, and Randall is from Eagle View and very much part of this disaster relief effort all around. Randall, maybe you can, if I can unmute you, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself. Maybe you could run us through, if you can find that button. What Eagle View has been doing. You've been imagery stuff, basically.
Oh, hold on.
There you go. There you are. You're with us now. That's perfect. There you are. Yeah. You're there.
So Eagle View has been working on assisting insurance carriers as well as some governmental agencies on acquiring imagery for emergency services, as well as for disaster recovery for insurance carriers. We have one of the largest fleets in the United States of fixed wing airplanes, And then we've combined that with the usage of satellites as well as drone imagery to help assist in catastrophic situations.
And you, I think, for Harvey, I think you were donating almost imagery and getting it in front of people as quickly as you could.
That is correct. We put out a website out there that would allow them to put in an address, and it would show a pre-image of the property as well as the post imagery after the storm had occurred, and whether or not there was any damages to the home, because obviously there were some people that had left the area in anticipation of the storm, so a lot of them wanted to know what the disposition of their property was.
And now Irma's an enormous event, and Harvey was an enormous event. Are you? This is going to be, here comes the rude question. Were you prepared for events of this scale? Because the amount of imagery you must be collecting must be absolutely enormous.
Yeah, we actually can scale extremely well because of the size of our fleet and our fleet operations. You know, we've been doing this for many years, for well over a decade. So we are prepared for disaster type situations. You know, the biggest hurdle and challenge is the air restrictions, right, through the FAA, and being able to put the planes up in the air, even with satellite imagery, is to ensure that, you know, it's clear enough to capture satellite imagery and provide some initial triage information for the carriers and so forth.
Well, fair play for you for getting that data out to people that might need it in a pretty horrible situation. You're definitely the first people to offer that sort of thing, and I see a few have followed. It's always good to lead. So well done to you, and that's why I wanted to get you guys on to say well done. I was impressed to see that. Gene, I don't know if you've got any or if anyone wants to join in or
No, I think we've been discussing this issue of regulations week over week, and it's a good point to see that regulations have to adapt to conditions, and that drones are not necessarily the evil that comes from the sky. It's something that we can prove with actions, with this disaster action now, that it's a good thing to have drones, to have responsible operators that can operate the drones whenever and wherever it's necessary. And thanks for Gene and to Ray, to the good efforts that they've put together. I've seen last week's Ray broadcast, and it was very, very compelling to see what you guys were doing. Thanks for your efforts, Gene and Ray also.
It was amazing.
You know, I think one of the things you talk about, the regulations, I've got to say that the FAA was very, very responsive to us. We got our first COA in 50 minutes down there when we were in the impact zone in Rockport, Texas. And they were very responsive to us, and we routed it through the Air Operations Center there in Texas. And I think that's one of the things that evolved out of this that I think is a good thing. You know, they always say don't let any good disaster go unwasted. And I think there was a lot of folks that did do that. And we were prepared in a way that at least the state center had somebody in there that had some drone knowledge, which was a tremendous help. So we got to communicate to him, and he was sitting right next to the FAA guy. I mean, they were joined at the hip the entire time. And after we started getting the COAs rolling, toward the end of the remediation part of it, we went from the rescue portion of it, which is, you know, directly after, to the recovery part of it. And we still had to fly. We still had to fly a lot. And it got to the point where the Air Operations Center in the state could tell us yes or no when to fly, because the communication was that closely knit together. So I'm saying that the FAA responded well. The state learned, and they are responding well. And I'm very encouraged that you're going to see more public safety people out there get out there and do it. I will say this though, I think it's going to be very important to have a credentialing standard in place, because many times they asked us, you see guys out there, do they have training? Are they 107? Are they, pilots, that sort of thing. You're going to see a credentialing standard come out. That's coming next.
I think that gentleman that you referred that was helping you guys to get the flight permissions has to be exported to New Zealand to help out Mr. Simpson.
Yep.
There's no helping Bruce. Doesn't matter who you send, you can't help him. It's not possible. It's not possible. It was actually it would help him out for your show that you hope to have next year over there. We must remember to talk about that later. So, was it mostly good actors in the skies over Texas then, Gene? Not too many cowboys.
No, unfortunately, we did see a number of them. As a matter of fact, there when we were in Rockport, we had a drone come and fly into our pattern, and we dispatched a couple of guys out there, and they brought him back in. And he was 107, but he did not have a COA. He was flying within 2 miles of an airport, and he didn't know of our operation. Didn't know that we had a TFR up. Didn't know. And oh, I'm just trying to get some pictures for, sorry, Randall, but an insurance company. And he was doing it all wrong. We told him, I said, look, we're not trying to be police or anything like that, but, this is what you need to do. You need to check, to see if it's okay to fly in these areas. And obviously you didn't do that. So, just letting you know. And the guy, he put his drone in his truck and he booked it. He was out. He was gone. Because I was standing around with a couple of state troopers, they're all, full gear on and, protecting the place. So, yeah, he didn't want to have any discussions with them. So he was out of there pretty quickly.
So, Gene, does this mean the 107 program is a bit of a waste of time?
Oh, stop it, Bruce. You know better than that.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't know better than
I've
that.
said it before. I'll say it again. The only thing the 107 does is it gets you legal. That's all it does. It doesn't mean just because you can pencil whip a test doesn't mean you can fly a drone.
Surely not saying that because you're legal doesn't mean you're safe. There's no disconnect there, is there?
Sure there isn't.
Well, yeah. I said it last week, and I'll say it quickly again now because I'm getting old and senile. I was amazed the number of people that said, "Why on earth do we need a 107 even to attend?" And even that is, I know the 107 is not the best, but at least there's some tiny bit of training on the way. And going into an emergency situation, you have to know what you're doing. You do not want to go and be the hero rescuer that then needs rescuing and uses up more resources that could have been used for somebody else. You just got to go with the grown-ups. So do you think that's going to, sorry, mate?
I've also said on this show that there, as Jimmy Buffett says, there is no dumbass vaccine.
Well, yes. Yes. If it's left us all speechless, really, isn't it? Yeah, no, that's true. But do you think there'll be statewide programs or states US-wide programs now? Because of course, the horse has bolted really when you're reacting to these big events. You've got to be prepared and ready, and everything ducks in a row so that you're local. So you don't think that's going to happen? You don't think this is going to say, oh no, maybe these things are useful, so we need to have a program to be ready for in the future?
They think they're useful, and there will be a standard for credentialing. It's coming. I know, because I'm working on some folks with it as well, and it will be there. If you're going to be a public safety operator, you will have to have a credentialing standard, just like firefighters, just like policemen, just like everything else.
And all right, then, to ask the controversial question of Randall, because we're going to hold you up as the duty insurance person, and we're going to rip into you for it. How soon is too soon? How should insurers be because many 107s, I think to a certain extent, Irma is going to be the savior of a lot of East Coast Part 107 businesses this year. I think it's going to give them the work that is going to see them through this winter. It's a bit controversial. I'll be all models me with pins pricked all over the place now. But how quickly what responsibility is an insurer? So loads of people have driven down there saying, right, we're going to do the post-emergency imaging. Well, it's not really post-emergency, is it? And haven't they put themselves in harm's way and up for potential rescue, standing by for those insurance shots?
Yeah. No, it's a great point, and it's a great question as far as how soon is it. And that's why we try to utilize multiple sources of aerial imagery prior to deploying a drone out onto the site, because it gives the insurance carrier an opportunity to determine where should they deploy their adjusters, who's impacted the most. I mean, do I need to fly a drone when the house is gone? Absolutely not. The house is gone. The only time that I need the drone is when there is, some substantial damage to the house, but it's structurally sound, it's still there, and so forth. The way that our program works is we don't send a drone operator out in flooded situations, because that requires an interior inspection, and that would drive up the cost for the insurance carrier. It makes no sense. So in cases like Harvey, we didn't have actually a lot of work there per se for drone operators, but it certainly bode well for our fixed wing manned airplanes to take ultra high resolution imagery of the homes and to provide that for the carriers as well as the public to help them determine the disposition of their homes themselves. So yeah, there is a balance there.
I don't know what Gene's holding up, and it could be if you have young children up near, it might not be suitable. I can't quite see what you're holding up there, Gene.
Gene, isn't that the gentleman in Florida that said that he was flying on the eye of the hurricane?
You need to unmute yourself, mate.
Okay. Okay, that's actually, our guys just sent me that picture on my phone, and that's what I was trying to show you. It was actually a sunken boat, and it was leaking oil. I don't know if you could see the sheen coming off of it, but that's the kind of things that the water quality people are trying to remediate, and this is ongoing. This could go for months, and they've extended them twice so far. I came back on Friday. They extended them through the weekend till the day, and now they're talking about extending them until the 20th. So the viability and the usability of a drone, boom, proven, done, right there. It works. So, it's coming.
Gene, a practical question, if I may. Were you guys using any kind of ADSB or tracking device to coordinate with normal aviation?
No, we weren't. We were just using the standard issue Mark I eyeball to do deconfliction, and there were a couple of times early on that we had some close calls. We did ground one once for an inbound Coast Guard helicopter. That was rectified by getting on the right channel with them. We were talking to air traffic control, and they did not talk to the military. So
that's usual.
We ended up another radio, and that took care of that.
Yeah. Wouldn't be advantageous to have the ADSB signaling on your drones?
I think probably ADSB could probably be one of the most useful things we could put on a drone right now. Let the other guys, let General Aviation, everybody else use their Mode C transponders and Squawk 1200, and let us use ADSB for drones. And, air traffic control is got a clean separation of the two. And I think that could be a big deal myself.
I'm going to disagree. I think, twice.
Gary, let's ask the AMLEAD guys to do ADSB-enabled new controller. So they already have video. Why not an ADSB transponder?
There you go.
No, I think I think now you're going to hear what I think now. I think that it's certainly, depending on where you are, say New Zealand or South Africa where I am, where there's relatively few light aircraft, it would be far cheaper for the industry to buy manned aviation ADS-B gear. Here you are, put it in your airplanes. By the way, stay above 10,000 feet, and we can hear and get out of the way of manned traffic. It would be easier for us to do that. To put, you know already how people operate inappropriately. People are going to be switching on their ADS-B gear as they drive past the runway, at the end of the runway of some international airport, because they're going to be plugging in their machine to see if the LEDs work, or they're going to be taking a you know, some video stream with their machine, and they're going to light it up, and it's going to be all over the place. Tom was saying about UTMs, again, that's pay to play. I think ADS-B is great. There's nothing wrong with ADS-B in some ways, other than it's a standard from 1990, so we're putting in something that's 30 years old. Igor mentioned earlier, he mentioned about UAV CAN, and that's and this plays to that perfectly. It's why are we trying to comply with old standards with modern future gear? I don't understand. I don't get it. ADS-B it's not the solution you're looking for us. It is for DJI at the moment. They love it.
Okay.
Remember,
Gary,
autopilot said it forever. Go ahead, Louis.
Imagine that we can embrace and extend, because we are more than the manned aviation.
We are.
So if we go with a standard they use and then extend that standard, that will force them to come after the evolution of the standard. So
no, let's just as an industry, let's buy them the gear. There's only in South Africa there are 8,000 registered aircraft. If the business is going to go big here, let's give them that and say, right now, go away and play nicely above 1,000 feet. We all live down here. Now be gone with you. Be gone.
Clearly, Gary, you haven't priced the certified ADS-B gear for putting in light aircraft. It's not cheap, mate. It's not like stuff you throw in your drone. It is expensive. You couldn't afford to retrofit all that stuff. But I think Louis is right.
But then it must be just as expensive for your drone then, because it would have to be the same equipment.
No, because we can invent the new buggy whip. We've got all this, the alternative to flying, the open glider network stuff. We should be pushing that. If we take the initiative,
to do that.
And no, we can fit all our drones with this stuff. Then manned aviation, they'll just have to fall into line.
Yeah, they will have to fall in. We can agree with that.
Come on, Gary. You know the software company that invented the embrace and extend concepts. So it's something that the drone people has to do to the standards of ADS-B or whatever it is to prevent unpleasant situations in the air. So embrace and extend.
I have a very nice chap in the UK is letting me have a UK. You probably see I made a little video about trying to avoid stuff here that's equipped with ADS-B, because you can put ADS-B into Mission Planner. You've been able to do that with the autopilot project for years. It's not something that DJI has just invented. So to them. I was flying in simulation, and I can't hit anything. I can't hit. There's not enough ADS-B traffic here. I'd have to get up into the airways to do it. So so I'm getting a feed from the UK, and I'm going to run the simulator running a gap of airspace from the south of Luton and Stansted and north of London, and that's a big squeeze point where general aviation has to go to fly between the major airports. And let's see if I fly around for 4 or 5 hours in simulation with real traffic, looking at real ADS-B traffic, and I fly at 1,000 feet. Let's see how many times I need to get out of the way. I don't think it's going to be very many. I think that this whole thing is exaggerated. I really do, and I've ranted on long enough. Please, someone else. Here is the ranting baton of felt tip goodness. Oh, and Gene. Oh no, Gene had it. Gene had it.
I win. I have a bigger baton.
Size doesn't count here, Gene.
I concede.
Go on, no, you go first, Gene.
Okay, Mr. Mortimer, I will tell you this, that the FAA has already started a program to help defray the cost of having the ADS-B installed in general aircraft. So I expect that to be extended. So they are helping to pay for it, and they're helping to get in there. And it's just like the old standard for Wi-Fi. You know, they said you can't go more than 2 megabits. And the next thing they knew, they came up with 6 megabits. The next thing, 8 megabits. And now look at, we're 100, you know, it just keeps going. So the theoretical plateau, or the ceiling that is supposed to be there with ADS-B, I believe will be overcome by new technology that will piggyback on top of it, and everybody will be happy. Machine language and machine vision is going to come into play, and there's going to be no more air traffic controllers. It's all going to be machines talking to machines, and yes, Skynet will become the de facto standard, and there you go, and it's all going to be wonderful. Balloons and butterflies and hearts.
Well, no argument with that then, right, Louis? After you can't come back after balloons, butterflies, and hearts, you better be careful what you say.
No. My mantra is the pink unicorns, but it's on a completely different topic.
Yeah, my biggest gripe with ADS-B is it is yesterday's standard, and it's not even been flipping in 2020 when it's probably being rolled out. So we're into, and Bruce is bob on right. There's Open Glider Network and FLAM. There's other ways of introducing traffic into things, and then it is, how do you present that to the air traffic controller? Well, you don't need to bother to, do you? Because as Gene has said, it's all going to be, how's it going to operate with balloons and hearts and butterflies? That's how it's, and butterflies. So butterflies are going to carry messages, something like that. Anyway, so somehow it's going to happen. Yeah, I know. We must be careful of not being hampered by old standards, I think. What other nonsense must we talk about? Oh yeah, slightly back to the serious events. So obviously, as duty insurance person, Randall, is there an industry, is there an association that the insurers are part of that has best practice for how you would roll out your operations in this situation?
There is a property drone consortium that is comprised of insurance carriers that does help set some of the standards and practices, best practices that they'd like to see with the use of drones integrated into the national airspace. So it's primarily comprised of insurance carriers. There are a few contractors, I think, that are also associated with it, but they work with the federal government as well in doing some Pathfinder work in order to help drive that integration appropriately. And they are working with emergency services systems and programs to help bring the government and the insurance carriers together, because it seems counterproductive to have emergency services out there and the insurance companies out there all trying to do the same thing, is trying to assess damages and so forth. So they're trying to bring them together to make that more efficient. I
was leading into that because I was thinking about Drone Up, and I expect a legal letter now for even mentioning them, because I don't know, I was hoping that Daniel Herbert was going to join us, but maybe he's received his legal letter today. I don't know. But they use some of his images and of his team, and have made some pretty outrageous claims about the number of missions they've flown. I believe they're sort of touting up to 4,000 flights flown and all that with their group, and they are part of it. They're one of these new things that's coming. Is I don't even know what they call them, where there's an app and they find jobs, and then via an app, you as the Part 107 pilot go out and fly the app. And
Pokemon.
Well, yes, that's right. It is like Pokemon, isn't it? Really, you've got to catch them all and get the badges. That's something that's a pop-up part of the industry, isn't it? So is anyone policing that, or are they just getting on with it?
Nobody's policing it. That's why they're jumping out there.
Yeah, there are drone. Are we talking about like drone network pilots?
We're talking about. Drone Up. There's one called Drone Up that was just standing up, and they've made some huge claims on the Texas incident, and they haven't covered themselves in glory. And they've used images of other groups that were properly associated with people as their own, and said, here's our brave boys going off and doing their thing, and they weren't.
Yeah.
And it's very cowboy-esque in an emergency. You know, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's an emergency situation. You say saving lives and then doing the insurance bit afterwards, and keeping out of the way of anyone that is doing a good job. Oh, I'm ranting, aren't I?
No, it actually makes complete sense. I mean, we utilize drone network pilots, but we hold them to the highest standards from a compliance standpoint, because after spending 27 years in the insurance business, it's a very litigious environment. So adherence to the compliance and the rules are extremely important to us as a company representing the insurance carriers. And that requires them having the proper documentation of having a 107 or a 333 or the waivers, etc., and to ensure that they've met all the additional requirements that insurance carriers may want as far as background checks and things of that nature, because it's all about safety. And no one wants to see a drone come down on a person's property when they're trying to help the situation. And so there's a very strict adherence to compliance rules with them, and checking on them as well.
Just a point of fact here. If you still got an active 333, you came into the game pretty late.
Yeah. Well, that's when it all started, right? And a lot of them had only the 333s when we were doing a lot of testing for insurance carriers, and they had their COAs and so forth. But obviously 107 changed a lot of the dynamics that went on with the insurance carriers.
Yeah, mine expired. My 333 expired in August. So, and I was right in there. So I figured, you're going to have to be late to the game if you're going to be flying 333.
Yeah.
Yes, they'll be gone on soon, won't they? Just getting on for time now. ICAO, they're going to register us all now, and Bruce had a little bit of a rant about it. I think it's a good idea. At least it's just one database, Bruce. Don't have to go everywhere. We can use our registration all over the world. Then what's wrong with that?
It's a fantastic idea, isn't it? The United Nations, the organization that soaks up so much money and does bugger all, they want everyone to have the central drone registry where they'll coordinate all this information, put it in one place, and then probably just do absolutely nothing with it, or charge us a fortune to maintain it, or just open the door for the hackers to come in. Oh, I mean, seriously, doesn't the United Nations have much better things to do than to worry about? And they're talking recreational drones as well, not just commercial registry or a military registry, but recreational drones. Do they not have something better to do? Can someone please give them a quick whack upside the head and tell them to get on with what they're supposed to do?
Well, we're going to send David Walters is going to be there from Consortic, who's often here but isn't today, but he's in the chat. We're going to send him to Canadianshire, I think, next week, to go and do that. So should we suggest a suitable size of stick or something?
No, we just ask Bruce to send some ranting lessons to David.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we can get something through to him there. I've got a side story about Canada, but I won't go there now. He'll be there. It's just come for a cup of tea, Gene. He's come for a cup of. All right, okay. So with that, then. That wasn't much of a rant to that, Bruce. I thought you were going to go a lot longer with that. Then you've all ranted it out. That's on one of Bruce's channel. I guess that's on XJet. Is it, Bruce? I can't remember. See, XJet, yes. So look at that for XJet. At the end of the gig, I normally says, my English is failing. Does anyone else have anything else before we go?
Yeah, well, I was thinking there's going to be a watershed in this whole industry fairly soon. That watershed will be the first time a regulator changes the rules relating to full-size aviation to address an issue with drones. So far, it's all about regulating drones. But as we transition from manned to unmanned aviation, the rules affecting manned aviation are going to have to change to reflect the fact that drones now have more, they're being used more commonly. They should have some, for example, some dedicated airspace and so forth. How long away do you reckon that is? How long before we see manned aviation having rule changes directly as a result of drone operations?
Within 10 years, within 5. And what it'll be, what I'll, 5, I'm voting no manned aviation below 10,000 feet unless it's got a really good reason. And they've all got a high airspeed.
No, because I plan on flying in 2,000 to 5,000. I'm not going for that.
It's a lot safer. If you're up high, you could be in better two-way comms with air traffic control. And should you have an in-flight emergency, you're going to glide a lot further. So what I'm doing there for you, Gene, I'm just making your day safer.
You know how long it takes a Piper Cub to get to 10,000 feet?
Yeah, I know. I'd also like to have a Piper Cub and be flying along at 50 feet, 10 feet, whatever. But anyway, but there's got to be something like that. There's got to be a little bit of a movement like that where people, oh, hang on, somebody's in the comments, JMB575N, which is an unusual first name, is saying that PIX4D DJI conflicts rant. So, that's very clever. Right on the hour, he's got that to happen. I don't know how he does that. That's very good. Very, very good indeed. I think obviously there's some app conflicts happening out there in the world. And Gene's gone off because he had the app conflicts when he was out flying the mission last week. So, yeah, I don't know. Does anyone have any experience of that?
Yeah, let me just plug something from autopilot because at Copter, we've just pushed to master a new feature that users will, we hope, will enjoy and use and promotes somewhat the safety of the flight of the drone, which is a smart RTL, where the drone, when flying, drops some breadcrumbs, and then if you activate that smart RTL feature, the drone tries to retrace an optimized path for where it has flown. So it's something that has been pushed to master this week, and we hope the users that are willing to test the feature will give us the best feedback we want so that we can streamline and improve the current implementation. It was something very nice. It came from a project of the Google Summer of Code students, and it's a great feature that I believe it's the first time that any flight controller's software stack implements, and let's hope the users like it, and we hope that someone like Bruce will start using autopilot for his racing drones so his drones can start flying all by themselves, so he doesn't have to fly them, right, Bruce?
Kind of takes the fun out of it, Louis, but actually that's interesting. I've often thought of a backtracking return to home feature, but it does have limitations, doesn't it? If the reason you're going automatically return to home is because you've got a low battery, it may mean that you won't get home, whereas if you go up 30 meters, come straight line back, you may get home. Is it going to have intelligent smarts like that?
Go ahead.
Autopilot had that in 2009, and we did it on wind as well, and it would turn around and it was also turn around and come home when it realized that it was too windy and you weren't going to get to the end of your flight if you proceeded. And it also had the throw launch, but anyway. but I'll tell you what scuppered that. It was ITAR that scuppered that. Gene is on his call. He flew autopilot as well. But yeah, there's lots of smart features out there, and they can be even smarter now because, of course, you know, the computers are so much more powerful than they were way back. And well, yes, and there we are. He's on math. Perfect. Yes, especially with a Linux onboard computer as well.
No, Gary. We don't need any companion computer on autopilot to do this.
No, I know.
Flight controller.
I know, but where I was going with that is the whole thing can do so much more than it could. Just you know, I don't know what are UAS or RPAS or drone years, you know, if a dog year is however many years it is, what does 1 year in the drone space equal? 5-10 years in real life? I don't know. Things have moved on so much.
It's evolving so fast. because let's say with all the new phones that we are profiting from the technology developed for phones, mostly for the small sensors and the small CPUs, we can take a lot of advantage of those developments that are being done on the small scale computing power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at.
I've got to say, in terms of technology, I was quite amazed. I watched Gene's flight last week, and it reminded me of when I was much younger, and I watched man landing on the moon. But with that moon landing, I don't think it was live. I think it was like they had to make a film out of it and fly it out to where I lived, and then it's screened on our local television. And so it was like delayed man's landing on the moon. You'd be watching Gene do this in real time from halfway across the world using a device that everybody's got. I mean, technology has got so much better, and it makes you realize that all the stuff we're worried about now, you know, airspace management and collision avoidance, in 10 years time, we'll be going, oh, you know, it's nothing. It's all taken care of. Technology solved the problems. So this transitional phase is quite tumultuous, but I think we're probably overestimating the amount of time it's going to take before this all becomes just a memory and just things get on.
No, I think you're right. I think you're bang on right. I think it's going to get better quick, and yeah, it's just a lot of the people that are thinking through these problems now are thinking about it for the first time. If you've been in this, playing this game, even if it's just flying model airplanes on the field, you understand a lot of things about part of the industry. People that have been thinking about this for years are well ahead of the regulators in their thinking and where they think it's going to be, and the regulators haven't caught up. But anyway, we mustn't go down that.
road. And
Yeah,
perhaps,
again.
Gary, the most important thing is that the people that are developing the flight systems have always a good thinking of the safety of the users and of the environment where the vehicle operates. It's something that sometimes might not be stressed enough, but it's a primary concern on anyone that is developing software for jobs.
No, for sure. Gentlemen, we have gone 7 minutes over the hour. So I must say, does anyone else have anything else? Going once. Going to, oh, go on then. You've got your big tool out again. Have you got a reason for that, or are you just showing off?
No. It's for you to hammer the end of the session.
I have a very small teapot. How does that work? Is that okay for you? It's just, yes. Okay.
Yes.
I've nothing else to bring. I've nothing else.
It's hat time, Gary.
It's the drone police. It's the drone police. The drone police are here. All right. So look, this is going nowhere now. This is just descending into nonsense. Randall, thank you very, very much for taking the time out to join us, and thank you to Eagleview for providing imagery for people that needed it in a terrible time. I did notice you doing that. That was great of Eagleview, and I'm sure that'll take you places, and people appreciate that. Louis, I'm not going to thank you. There's no. Well, I don't know. You just bring it to us. Just whatever, Louis. Whatever. Hopefully, we'll see you again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming in and telling us about your new product. It does look great. It is a game changer in the autopilot world, or I guess I shouldn't say that, in the civilian home or DIY market, not putting out very well. So thank you, Gene, on his call. We're going to run away now, and we'll be gone, and he won't be. He'll be there, and we'll be gone. And of course, Bruce over on the end there. Thank you, mate. I hope your weather improves again now, as it was raining, and I look forward to your next rants on both RC model reviews and XJet. And with that, I say chisel. Bye, everybody. Thanks, dear viewer, wherever you are. Thanks very much. Like, subscribe, all those other things. Bye.
Bye-bye.